In Europe, European Union Energy Commissioner Dan Jorgensen has said that the bloc is intensifying efforts to replace Russian gas by increasing imports from countries like the United States and accelerating renewable energy deployment. The EU has committed to phasing out Russian fossil fuels by 2027 in response to Moscow's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. Jorgensen highlighted plans to streamline permit rules to expedite renewable energy projects and secure alternative gas supplies for sectors where electricity cannot yet replace gas. The Office for National Statistics has reported that British retail sales volumes jumped by 1.7% in January, marking the first monthly increase since August and far exceeding economists' expectations of a 0.3% rise. The January surge, the fastest since May 2024, suggests consumers were willing to spend despite a weak economic outlook. Retail sales volumes for the 3 months leading up to January were still down 0.6% compared to the previous 3 months, reflecting the lingering weakness from late 2024. On a year-on-year basis, January sales were up by 1%, surpassing the forecasted 0.6% growth. Official figures have revealed that Britain's government recorded a budget surplus of £15.4 billion in January. January typically sees a surplus in Britain's public finances as annual income tax bills for the previous financial year are due. However, income tax and capital gains tax revenues were below expectations, contributing to the lower than expected surplus. The figures increase pressure on Financial Minister Rachel Reeves, who risks missing her debt reduction targets. Economists warn she may struggle to balance day-to-day spending and tax revenues by 2029-30, with only £9.9 billion sterling of headroom from her first budget last year. Official statistics agency Istat has reported that Italian EU harmonised consumer prices fell by 0.8% month-on-month in January and increased by 1.7% year-on-year. This represents partially revised down preliminary estimates, which had pointed to a 0.7% monthly decline and a 1.7% annual increase. The annual inflation rate of 1.7% in January marked an uptick from December's 1.4%. Meanwhile, Italy's main domestic price index showed a 0.6% monthly increase and a 1.5% annual rise, accelerating from December's 1.3% annual growth. Core inflation, which excludes fresh food and energy, remained steady at 1.8% year-on-year in January. Reuters has reported that Russia is open to using $300 billion in frozen sovereign assets for Ukraine's reconstruction as part of a potential peace deal, but insists a portion be allocated to areas under Russian control. The proposal comes amid early-stage discussions between Russia and the United States, following their first face-to-face talks on February 18th in Saudi Arabia. The frozen assets, primarily held in European securities, were blocked after the 2022 Russia-Ukraine conflict. Moscow may agree to allocate up to two-thirds of the reserves for rebuilding Ukraine, provided there are accountability guarantees, while the remainder could be directed to Russian-controlled territories.